will show up here in a second. Okay, welcome out to the planning meeting for January 15th, 2020. Here we go. First item on the agenda is public comment concerning any issue not on the agenda. So is anybody have public comment tonight?
I have just
Mary does.
one little thing, Mary Duggan. I'm on the fire advisory board and we're making a push now to make sure that all of our fire hydrants are dug out so that in case of fire, the firemen can go right to work. So if you have a fire hydrant that's close to your house, please take on that responsibility and carve out about a 3-foot barrier around it so that they could just get right straight to work.
Super.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, that will take us to item number 2, the Anderson subdivision. You're on.
So, I'm Doug Anderson. I live on Little Sweet Road on Lot 4, the Joyce Anderson small subdivision. My mom passed away. Basically, long story is, we wound up with an extra lot. So, me and my sister want to split that lot. She probably, I don't know what she's gonna do with her half, but I want to take that half of Lot 3 and add it to my lot on Lot 4 and get it all surveyed and titled and transferred over. So, when I kick the bucket, it's already done and no feud, no fighting, no nothing. That's simple as I can explain it.
Excellent presentation.
I'm not a public speaker, so.
Perfect. Okay, so the Anderson subdivision was done pre-town. And so the lots were pre-approved, so now we're looking at changing the subdivision and making, merging one of the lots. So what he's here asking tonight is he just wants your opinion. He hasn't applied yet. He wants to get a feel of the planning commission and the direction they're going before they spend a lot of money to have the survey done.
Yeah, I mean,
Correct?
yeah.
Okay.
Can we just have a glance at that?
Yeah, well, you
Sure.
wanna show us
Pass
what
that
you're
down.
proposing
Let's look
and
at
how big are the lots now?
This
This is what
That's
it's.
more. There we go, that's facing the.
So- I don't know if anybody knows, but my mom's house is right there.
Right
Mel Price lives right here.
here.
My brother Chris lives there. I live right there. And Todd Anderson, which is no relation, lives there.
But he had the right name to.
Yeah.
That's why there's a lot of here.
So my brother's gonna take this lot, we assume, Lot 1. My sister's gonna take Lot 2. We wanna split Lot 3 in half, front to back.
So straight down the middle there.
Yeah. And I would take that side and
So I can't see how big are those lots now, are they 5
they're
now?
Lot 3 is 4.43.
But it makes them about 7 acres apiece. once you
Yeah,
split.
that would make mine, what, 6.7? That one would be 6 point, well, I don't know what she's gonna do. I don't know if she's gonna leave, everything right now is in the trust that my mom created. So I don't know what she wants to do with it. If she wants to take and add hers to that, if they're gonna leave all this in the trust and let the trust manage the rest of them, or I have no idea what their plans are.
Are you trying to get into the green belt?
Well, that and just get things situated, like I say, so when I pass on, it's, my kid doesn't have to fight brothers and two grandkids or whoever's left.
What is the green belt, 6 acres?
It's five in
Well, it's,
production.
Yeah, that's,
with a house, it's gotta be 6.
Yeah.
though.
Right,
understood,
yeah, but
six.
5 in production, your house can't be in there
one is for the house and you can have 5 to stay on.
Yeah.
I think
to qualify.
for that to work though, because we wouldn't want to create another lot that was smaller, we actually couldn't do that. You would have to have that split and divided between those other 2 lots.
So you didn't have a
Well,
small.
but that's what I'm saying is,
Yeah, but you're saying you didn't know what your sister was gonna do, but I'm
well, but
saying,
it's not hers, it's still in the trust.
okay, but it would have to be joined to that other lot when
Have to
you
be
do that
joined to
adjustment.
her lot, because that 2 acres couldn't live by itself if you took
Well,
4.
that's-
Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense, but it's, it would still be in the trust, so the trust would own half that lot. And her
Right,
lot,
but it
and the
doesn't-
brother's lot, and,
Yeah,
I
so
think
the
it doesn't
tr-
matter who owns it, I think it's
Yeah.
what
yeah,
the
see,
lot
I don't know.
definition is, yeah.
So.
I'm here to try and find some answers.
Sure.
So the trust will actually be doing the lot split, right? It's not in your name yet.
No, not yet.
So the
Right.
trust will be doing
So
that.
the trust can put it wherever they want.
Right, but I'm
Yeah.
saying, but it's still gotta be a legal lot
Right.
when you split it, and so however the trust does it, they would have to split that into
Well,
You know, the
ballpark.
3 into 2 lots,
The
you
way
could
I
end up with
envision-
3 into 3 lots.
The way I thought it would work is the trust would deed me half that lot, and the trust would own the rest, like it does now. Unless they decide to change it and take it out of the trust and put it in their own name.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
True, but you still
It's-
end up with a half a lot that's.
Not if they make it part of,
Well,
If
no,
they
but
make
I'm
it part
saying
of lot
if they-
two.
As long as they do that, it's.
Yeah.
it's
No
going.
problem.
That's what I'm saying, but you can't take
You can't leave it.
half
to
of it and leave the other half as a separate lot.
right.
No, yeah, we understand that.
Okay.
I don't know when or if, when they wanna take their lot out of the trust.
Right, but the trust would have to say now this lot 2 is 7 acres or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
They don't
because
have
you
to take
couldn't
it out
build
of
on
the
lot,
No.
what was left of
So
lot
as long as
3.
they record it like that, then it's
Yeah,
gonna be
it doesn't,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a subdivision already recorded, so when they change that, will be a new subdivision recorded with those, it will show
With
those.
the new, with
The
lot,
line.
Right.
but lot 3 will disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
But
I
how
don't- I don't
much
see a
frontage
problem.
is there on those lots? Are they still gonna meet?
Well, there's 200.03 feet now,
Okay,
so,
we're good.
well, but there's no way if I take my half of that lot, nobody can build on the other half, because there wouldn't be enough acreage.
correct.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm trying to
So
get
it
at.
goes-
No, but I'm just saying, when you draw up the subdivision, it can't be shown that way. It has to be shown as the finished lots
Right.
and
Yeah,
recorded
and
that.
that's what you're trying to do anyway.
So lot 2 will have to disappear, and also just go lot 2.
Lot 3
or-
will
Sorry, lot
disappear.
Lot 3 will
Lot 3
disappear.
disappears.
Lot
and
2 will
it
get bigger.
gets- Right.
2 will be
2 and
bigger
4
and
get
4
bigger.
will be
Two and four will
bigger.
get bigger.
And the line will be down the middle of the
Yeah,
old lot 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's,
All of those lots have been paid for a water hookup.
Yeah, that's,
So when you eliminate lot 3, you're gonna lose that hookup on lot 3.
well, the understanding was, my sister bought 2, I think my brother bought 1 or something. She seems to think that she can sell that water, hook up back to the water company for what she paid for it. It's never been installed.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, this board won't make that call.
No, yeah, we let it go to the,
Town council.
yeah. Yeah, I don't-
Yeah.
it's not mine, so I can't say what they're gonna do with it.
Okay, you see any issues that he should be aware of?
No?
That's one to make sure there was nothing, hoop I had to jump through before I went and paid whatever they're gonna try and charge me to survey it out. Come back and say, oh, no, you gotta fly to the moon and jump over this cow, but.
I think it's easier to make a lot bigger than it is to make one smaller.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're going the right direction, everybody's happy.
Yeah, that's, everybody's looking for that 6 acre
Yeah, we
lot.
want to see more of that.
Yeah, very
The
good.
fewer neighbors for me, the better, so we'll just go farther down the street.
You gonna sell any of those?
Nah, I can't answer for anybody else. I'm gonna take my half of that lot and I ain't gonna get rid of it. You ain't gonna get rid of it, so. I hope none of them do, but that's up to them.
Yeah, very good. All right, well, thank you. You're on your way.
Hey,
Thank you, Mr.
So George was
Anderson.
your dad, right?
yeah.
And Joyce is your sister?
Well,
That was
my
your
mother-
mom.
Yeah.
I just see the name on here, so.
Oh, yeah, it was done back in, I think they platted it in '93, it says on here.
Yeah,
92.
yeah. That's when they changed the zoning from RA1 out here to went to RA5.
So what does
Actually in
that mean?
95, but what's that?
I thought it was, the last I ever heard it was residential agriculture, whatever.
So it's residential agricultural, 5 acre minimum per house. So,
And then some were grandfathered
Yeah.
in because when the town became
Yeah.
a town.
And so that, when those were done that way, that was before the
Yeah.
RA5 came in, so.
I don't know how she had the foresight to do it
I
before it
don't know, it's a
did.
good thing though.
Yeah, it's-
I know some of the neighbors wish they'd have done it too, so.
Yeah.
So that's all
Okay, super.
I, there.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you,
seeing you,
Mr.
Doug.
Anderson.
You can hang around and help us solve some problems.
Board, yeah.
Okay, before we move on to item number 3, we have, it's a new year, so we need to elect a chairperson and vice chair for this calendar year. So we'll open it to nominations. Gary was the vice chair, I was the chair last in 2019.
I nominate Mark.
Mark?
Well, he's not here to protect himself. That's the best thing to do.
Have a nomination?
What are you nominating Mark for?
So we need a chair and a vice chair.
And what did you nominate Mark
Chair.
for? The chair.
The chair.
Like
So
the
he's
fellow.
gonna take Eric's place and run the meeting for us.
I don't know, maybe I'll vote for you. I don't wanna put him in that spot.
The chair doesn't get a vote in the meetings unless there's a tie. The only time the chair gets to vote in the meeting, the vice chair runs the meeting.
So this is for your role, right?
No, I'm a member of the planning commission, but it's
Okay.
doing what I do, yes,
Yeah, doing what you do.
in this meeting.
We had a tie over one issue here a while back, and I don't remember you voting
In a tie?
in the tie. Seemed like to me you
What'd you-
abstained.
Did you have 2-2?
If I remember right, was that when Eric was trying to change the zoning on his and he couldn't vote?
Well, I could vote, but I chose not
Yeah,
to.
you chose not to.
Good choice.
Well done.
I don't know, I can't remember if that was the issue or not.
I don't know if that was either, but
But you can't, the chair can break a tie vote.
Yeah, that's when they vote, they break the tie vote.
All right.
But it takes 4 on a planning commission, so if you had 2-2, it wouldn't have mattered. 3-2 wouldn't carry the vote, you just need the 4.
Now run that by me.
Because you're a 7-member,
Okay.
you have to have 4 to make the motion. So if you had a 2-2, a third vote wouldn't change anything.
You have to have 4, huh? Okay, good job.
So tonight,
Then let me take that back.
guys better
and,
agree.
I think you should do it. That's what I know you appreciate that.
yeah, thank you.
I was gonna recommend Doug do it, but he's not gonna stick around.
Making a lot. He has an interest. Okay, so we have a nomination, is that right?
That's right,
Got to nominate for chair.
for chair.
Okay, do we need a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, discussion?
Okay, so you asked me, they're nominating you again, right?
Correct.
They are, I can't say nothing bad, I'm on camera.
That's the only reason I dared do it.
Okay, seeing no discussion, call for the vote, all in favor? None opposed.
it
Okay,
took 4, so we had to do it.
they had to do it, okay? Now we'll take nominations for a vice chair.
I'll nominate Gary. Oh, no, I don't think that's very fair. I'll nominate Kim for vice
In
chair.
8 years, I've only had to lead the meeting once, so.
And you did a dang good job because I was here.
Well, I think the job that he's
Second
done,
shortest
we oughta
It's
meeting.
really
put in.
good, don't you
Well, I
think?
think we ought to put it back in myself.
All right, I'll go back to my original. I'm nominating you, Gary, to be the vice chair. You did an awesome job on the one meeting.
Slick. Okay, have a nomination, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, have a motion and a second, discussion? Seeing
Excellent
none?
nomination.
Oh. Call for the vote, all in favor?
All right,
At least you got a vote.
At least,
Yeah, you could've held that
At
up.
least you were here when it happened.
Yeah, that's unfair. That's not fair to do that to people. So if you're not interested, sorry, guys.
Okay, that will give us a chair and vice chair for 2020. We'll do this again
Thank
in
you.
January next year. Okay, so now we'll move into the Highway 40 corridor. Next item on the agenda. We have a corridor agreement with Wasatch County, Heber City, Mountain Independence, UDOT, Heber City, all have signed on to this, the Highway 40 agreement. Remember when we did all that? So that agreement's in place. Independence now wants to come in and put a road on the Highway 40 corridor. You want to show? Nope. Need one, Ryan?
I'm good.
You know right where it is, huh?
We do.
Okay, and then I have some color maps here of the Wasatch County. You just spread them out down there. Of the, from 2019 to 2050. So these are all the roads that are proposed in the valley. So all those roads are proposed. You can see the numbers. You can go up above at the corresponding heading, and it tells you what order they're in and when they'll be funded. And of course, it's a rough sketch. It's future, so.
Question, what does the number refer to?
So, which number are you looking at?
And for these numbers, they're
So
all numbered.
the number, this is actually, the number refers to the on the color map. It
Okay,
actually has the roads all numbered, which one it was.
they're not the order that they're going to,
No,
okay.
some are red, some are blue, some are green.
Okay.
Some are proposed, some are slated for funding. So Mountain Land Association of Government drafted this map in the Wasatch County council meeting and with the interlocal input from it. So we was actually able to remove a road that went up through Daniel to come back out of Independence. So we got that taken off this map.
So where was that going from?
It come in right below Bonnie Benson barn, the red barn as you go up the canyon on the left-hand side.
Oh, okay.
So it'd come up Duke Lane, wrap behind there, and then come out up on that end, right through our RA1 zone that we have up there. So I don't know how it got on the map. We never could figure out how it got there, but we took it off twice, and this time it stuck, so hopefully we...
It can reappear, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, we was just surprised that they could run a road through our town without telling us. That was kind of, wow. So anyway, that's what you're looking at is the map. Right between, so you can see where Mill Road crosses Highway 40.
Mhm.
In that intersection, splitting between Little Sweden, and there is a access point that's put in that map for a future signalized intersection. Can you see it there, Gary?
It's this intersection.
Yeah,
there?
so right in this area
Oh,
is milepost 20. You see that?
So it would be at Mill Road and 40?
So right here would be milepost 20 between Mill Road and Little Sweden. So the spacing for a signalized intersection works out to milepost 20 between Little Sweden and Mill Road.
And Mill Road is number 9, has a 9 on it. Is that Mill Road?
yeah. Or no, 20.
No, 20 is Mill
is
Road.
20.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So part of that Highway 40 agreement was signalized intersection. Independence now wants to come and get on the agreement with us, and they want to put a access on milepost marker 20. Well, relatively close to that. They would like to move it further south. UDOT has told us that they can move some, but not very far before the agreement becomes an issue and we have to redraft the agreement. Now, the agreement is written as such that everybody has to agree before it can be changed. So UDOT, MAG, the county, us, Heber City, all have to agree before it can be changed. So we held a meeting, they came and talked to us. Millstream wants to put a development on the east side of 40, and that will be their main entrance into Independence. So it's a 4-lane road going in there. They would like us to be flexible where that access point is. And I did this for the council. I don't know, I didn't get hung, maybe I better just cut my loss, huh? What we've drawn is, we messed around with this Highway 20, and we thought that a road,
Milepost 20.
yeah, we thought that a road coming up, a frontage road, paralleling Highway 40, would access this 20, milepost 20, it would run into that,
On
on the Daniel side.
the Daniel side, okay.
Yeah, so we got that commercial zoning up there.
Mhm.
We don't have access to the highway because it's a limited access highway, which is why we did the agreement that puts your spacing to where the lights will be, and we need to funnel all of our development out onto the highway that way.
So where is milepost 20? Is that right by Mark's place?
It's right between, it's dead center between Little Sweden and Mill Road.
Well, this is Little.
This is
Sweden
Little Sweden.
and Mill
Yeah.
Road.
So is it
the
basically
spacing or-
aligned with 3000 South?
What's that?
Is it basically aligned with?
It does
3000
not.
South?
It comes and turns
It's about,
before 3000 South and the T intersection for that very reason that you're thinking.
Okay,
well done.
So it actually tees there at the Gordon property.
because people would be.
So and this is all future. It'll be driven by application.
And who has commented on this frontage road?
On the frontage road, it's just a dream. It's just something we put on the
But
map.
you said the town council?
Yeah, I drew on the board of town council, didn't throw bricks at me, so. It
So-
doesn't appear on any of our maps. We have a map that TNO's building for our future land use. We've shied away from this, and UDOT says that we need one. So,
And the purpose of the frontage road would be to eliminate traffic coming on between Mill Road and Little Sweden.
right. Brings them into the signalized intersections. So they're 1 mile apart is what they
So
are.
would buildings have to be torn down to do that?
Yeah, so it's all application driven. It's down the road, it's
Yeah.
down the road.
So what is Independence asking us?
So Independence is asking where our milepost 20 is, they want to slide it further south. So they're asking us to be accommodating, actually UDOT is asking us to be accommodating to Independence.
Downside?
But we,
So they want to go further south.
Right. So downside for Daniel,
Oh, the downside for Daniel?
for not being accommodating
Let me get my other map out here.
for,
The only reason I can see that is well, first of all, they didn't come to the meeting. Well, I shouldn't say that. They came to the meeting and chose not to participate. So now they're back and want to participate.
so they do not stay on top of things.
Right. So the downside for us is that now we have the milepost 20 lined up right at the corners of these properties. So you could go right through, and now pushing further south, it actually lines up into a property itself. So we're trying to stay close to these sections where you could access buildable parcels off of that road. That will just push us this way a little bit. It's not that far. It's 250 feet is the number that we've thrown around. They would like to go a half mile down, but we're like, absolutely not.
Got to eliminate a possible signal with Little Sweden, right, if you do that?
That's what we didn't want to jeopardize. I said, there's only three, really, there's 3 exits for Daniel. That's all we got.
Yeah,
So this will add one, but we was looking
kind
at,
of.
yeah, so we was looking at this coming off of the Chernell piece, and coming right down, right along the back of these lots, intersecting with those coming down and dropping right up here, so it's not lined up with 3000 South. But as we go to these meetings, they want us to run 3000 South straight through. They think that's a great idea. We think that's a terrible idea, so.
Just turns us into the highway.
Yeah. So we actually wanted them to bring this road over and line up with Little Sweden, but for the same reason, they think everybody will go down Little Sweden. I don't know that anybody that's going to Provo is gonna wanna go down Little Sweden.
They already do it.
They do.
They already
If they're in a
do it.
hurry though, they won't go down there.
Well,
It
They'll
depends.
go that way.
If they're in a hurry, they go that way,
They-
because
they
the
think it's a
intersection backs
shortcut.
up.
Well, all the fishermen, I mean, they all take that cutoff. It's been there
Yeah.
for years.
But I'm saying, you get some of the holiday weekends, and it's faster to go that way because the intersection down there is jammed up.
Yeah, but they don't like that up on this end at all. So as part of this agreement with Independence coming on, is that we'll have to design that intersection and up to the gravel pit. So to the edge of Daniel will be included in the next agreement that they come on to. Because what they want, we don't want to do this again in the next.
Yeah,
So we're thinking one shot out. So this is our chance to meet with and get whatever terms the town wants out of this.
well, don't we want it to stay right where they got it planned?
Well, yeah, we do. Well, we did. That was the purpose of the plan.
Yeah.
UDOT saying that 250 feet, 300, 400 is not significant, that they don't have to change the plan. So our holdout is unless they join the plan, then it stays right where it is. And again, this is preliminary, the council's gonna have to,
Is the council looking for a recommendation from us?
they haven't asked for one, it'd be great if we gave them one.
It would seem just in discussion that multiple entities have worked hard on trying to find a spot that kind of works for as many people as possible. And it's unfortunate that independents
Yeah,
did not come to the table a little earlier so that could have been discussed too. So I'm kind of inclined to make a motion of leave it as the work has progressed, where you guys all decided. And independents can adjust their plan to come to that section.
Where's the third line? There's one at Little Sweet and one at Mill.
there's one on Mill Road, there's one on Center Creek Road.
Center.
So we had to get special clearance from the regional director for the one on, because those are too close. But we really couldn't eliminate one, because we're like, Center Creek, that's a major outlet for independence. And eventually that will go down past the school.
Yeah, what's that
You
called?
know, a light at Little Sweet would put a heck of a lot of traffic through town. But I don't know how you keep it the same. I mean, growth says you've got to make changes.
Yeah, and none of this will go in until the traffic warrants it. I should also tell you that 3000 south at the south end on 189 is getting a signal designed right now.
I'm sorry, that design at that end's terrible. I see so many people when they cross there, they get on the wrong
They're on the wrong
side.
side, huh?
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, and
Where
then-
did that ball get dropped? I don't know.
Coming the other direction,
But are
there's
you for a
a
light?
transformer and a real estate sign blocking the view on either side. And I'm like, how did that happen? I mean, Ryan probably sees that every day.
It's coming up at the meeting next week. It's not what they asked me to bring up, but it's gonna come up.
It ought to.
So the advantage for us allowing them to move that is to bring them into agreement so we don't have to mess with it the rest of the way up. If we just say it's 20, then that's where it is, and we'll have to deal with it further up again as they develop further. So that's the end for the town, is we bring them into the agreement, then we don't have to cross this bridge again. Okay?
Okay,
Are you so inclined to send a recommendation to them? For, against, yea or nay, or do you need more information? Okay, questions for me?
Yeah, I don't feel like I know enough. I think the council's probably way ahead of us on this, so.
Yeah, the mayor's been to several meetings with me on this. We chased it through interlocal, and they basically told us to take it up when 189 came through, and then it didn't come up in 189, so we're back to square one. So we are not a party to the 189 agreement. So when Charleston annexed the corner of 3000 South, it was a development agreement with us that made them put that in so it could be signalized. UDOT, they want them square, but they allowed us to be 15 degrees off. So again, we didn't sign, but we have a letter from the mayor of Charleston that said they will fulfill that agreement.
well, it definitely needs a light, but it's unfortunate that it's not right across from each other.
It will be when we get done.
Oh, okay.
The plans I saw do include straightening that up a little bit.
Oh, a
So
little
it
more
does
than it
get
is
better. I question whether it gets better enough, but they are working on, I mean, the plans show working on the Daniel side to help square that up to do the 15 degrees, because right now our side's not 15 degrees, it's better. It's not that really old angle, but it's not 15 either,
But now it's-
so that does square it up a little bit, and there's some other discussions to be had about what else we can do, because almost run into cars head-on more times than I can count at this point.
Yeah, it's a dangerous intersection.
So the county was involved in that because half of that's in the county. They just quick deeded that to the town, so,
On Charleston side or our side?
our side. So we
Okay.
own the whole intersection. Well, not yet. It's in the process. It's being recorded, signed and recorded as we speak.
We had any applications for that corner lot on the north?
We have not. Alliance? Are you talking about the Alliance?
Wentz, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had an application. I suppose that the town will be contacting him pretty soon as we develop this intersection. Because that's one, the one that the county, they had already bought that parcel, that's the Ellis subdivision, lot 1. They had already purchased that wedge, so they could get the trucks to turn and go up. And so they just quick deeded that to the town. And then the other side, on the, I guess that would be the south.
No, no.
And Wentz is still in an RA5.
Just
Do the property taxes go up 20, 30% when you go commercial?
property taxes don't go until the use changes. So you can be zoned something, the Wasatch County zones on the use. So even though, you remember when we was doing Mark's, the guy before him come in and threw down his tax paper, says, look, I'm paying commercial, it's commercial. It's like, it's not commercial, it's RA5. And that was their explanation, is the use of the property is what they tax you on. If it was commercial, you're gonna get billed commercial. So, and that's probably fair, because if, like they did, the county decided to come in and change your zoning, you're using it. Now you're a non-conforming use, but it shouldn't affect you tax-wise until you change the use. Then all that comes into play. So I'm sure Mark's, he changed the zone and he was already doing the use, so I'm sure his taxes caught up.
Everybody's caught up this year.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
more,
they
but
really
anyway.
was. They really was. Okay, so, any recommendation for the council?
I feel like Gary does, I don't know enough about it,
No recommendation?
no.
Okay. I'm trying to put together in the council meeting on, is it the 3rd?
The next one?
3rd of February?
I think it's
Is that right? Yeah, 3rd of February. I'm trying to put together UDOT and Mountain Land Association of Government, and I can't remember who else was coming up. They want to come and speak to the council about this intersection, so there'll be more information at that meeting also.
Great.
3rd, so. That's in the works right now. Nobody's confirmed that they can make it, but Jeremy from UDOT, that's what he's willing to come up and talk to the council, so. What we're worried about is, well, what UDOT's worried about is, you can't tell them they can't access the highway. They're not part of the agreement, so how far can we push this before they
We're
just?
talking about independence,
Yeah,
so they can access wherever they want.
before they bring legal proceedings, right. So we had a gentleman down on 189 that said that exact thing, you're not part of the agreement, you don't have to follow it, you can put it wherever you want. So there's that side of the coin too. So I think there's probably value either way we go. So if it doesn't affect our plan because the road's not there, it would be signalized, but if you come out of Independence and you drive across and hit a T on a frontage road, that's gonna stop a lot of traffic from even wanting to go that way. It's not a straight shot at all. And you certainly won't be driving diesels down, doing that, to go down 3,000 south. I mean, Little Swede, you turn, it's kind of already on the corner and you can just drive, but this is designed not to be a through corridor, so it's just an access corridor. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Okay. The next item we have, item number 4, is a public open meeting training. So I have some things that are for the planning commission. And for our role, as we go through this, it changes a little bit. Because we're administrative, we're not legislative. But this is the Utah code that tells us where we get our authority from in a municipality. Get the card here. It's just stuck. Okay, so if you go to the county, they get theirs at the same place. So the legislature gives us our authority. So that's how we get our authority. When somebody says, what does the planning commission do? You can just tell them right here is what we do. This here is the planning commissioner creed. So this has some items that the planning commission does. And actually some of your attitude and direction in how you run a commission as a commissioner. Okay, so as you look at those, let me just read you a couple of other things. And this is out of your powers and duties book. Everybody's got one? Planning Commission?
It doesn't look like that.
No, it'll be different years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I have a little book like that.
yeah.
Mine looks a lot newer than
There's no marks. There's no marks on this. Clean.
I'm not sure I have that book. What's the title of it?
It's powers and
Powers
duties.
and Duties. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, but I'll look. And if I don't have it, I can get one somewhere or other.
Yeah, and all this is available online too.
Oh, okay.
So where we send you to go get your trainings online, all that's available also at the League of Cities and Towns. And if you go to the training new public official, it comes with one of these books when you sign up for one of those. So at the start of the year, they just did a bunch of them. So just let me quickly talk to you about the Open Public Meetings Act. It is only necessary to understand what the public policy is behind the act. The legislature stated as follows. In enacting this chapter, the legislature finds and declares that the state, its agencies, and political subdivisions exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. It is the intent of the law that their actions are taken openly and their deliberation is conducted openly. So this is the sunshine law that we're talking about. They want everything done in the public business should be done in the public eye. So it is clear from this statement that the policy that all meetings of official bodies of cities and towns, with very limited exceptions, are to be open to the public. But it is not just enough. It is not just having the meeting open to the public that is the policy of the state of Utah. The policy is such that deliberations are conducted openly. So even though you meet in the meeting, all the deliberations are also held in the public. If you keep these two policies in mind, it is easy to comply with the Open and Public Meetings Act. If you cannot or will not comply with the Open Meetings Act, you are not cut out for public office. Get out now before it's too late.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, I'm reading it. Being in a public office means you have the courage to conduct the public's business openly. Don't go to the pool if you're embarrassed to wear a swimsuit. So David Church is the author of this. He's the League of Cities and Towns lawyer. So
Whoever met David, he toned it down.
yes, he did.
I'd be embarrassed if I wasn't wearing a swimsuit.
So for the purposes of the act, it's first necessary to understand what a meeting is. The act defines a meeting as being convened of a public body when a quorum is present. Convening is also defined to mean any meeting called by a person for the purpose of either discussing or acting on a subject matter. These are very broad definitions and are intended to include almost all gatherings of the city council or other committees of a municipality. So that includes all the committees. If you set up a committee, an advisory committee in their meeting, and any of public funds are spent on that, it becomes a public meeting subject to the Open Meetings Act. So we have plenty of committees spread around, but they also fall under the same thing. The weed board, all the different committees we have in the county has to comply with this. So it's a public meeting, the public can come. Now, when I say the public can come, that doesn't mean the public can speak. An open meeting means the public can come and watch you do the business. A public hearing is a difference. The public hearing is when the public can speak. That's when they're allowed to speak. We're kind of not so much here as rigid. We did have an issue a few months ago in the council meeting. And so now if you're going to do public comment in the council meeting, you have to come to the podium and state your name, because it just got out of hand. So Chip is now making them, the mayor's making them come to the podium, state their name one at a time so it doesn't.
Get out of hand.
If it gets out of hand, you should be aware that you can remove somebody from the meeting if they're being unruly. It's against the law to knowingly disrupt a public meeting. So they can be charged, but you can vote to remove them from the meeting.
But if you got a real big guy.
Then you all better vote.
Everybody.
And you better be dialing 911 under the table.
The law enforcement's happy to come remove people if you need them to. So you just pause the meeting and they'll come and remove them from the meeting. If it gets to that point, they probably will go to jail, but most people just leave. So I watched Jim Percy get escorted out of a meeting, so it happens. It happens. If you go to Heber City Council meeting, the chief's sitting right there,
There is, yep.
so they're ready to escort you out.
I wondered what their job was there, so now I know.
Yeah. Whatever the mayor says. Okay, so it is always important to remember, however, that a quorum of the body is necessary before the meeting is present. So you can't even start the meeting until a quorum's here. For example, any two council members of a third or fourth or fifth class city could get together to discuss any matter without it being a meeting. But if three council members get together, it's now a public meeting. It has to be noticed and put out for public notice.
So if we're all out plowing snow and we run into each other, we can't talk?
Basically.
There's
That's
more
pretty
than,
much it,
if there's three of us.
There's better subjects to talk about anyway.
All meetings are to be open to the public with the following limited exceptions. Discussion of a character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual. That qualifies for a closed meeting. Strategy sessions to discuss collective bargaining. Strategy sessions to discuss pending or reasonable imminent litigation. Strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property when the public's discussion of the transaction would disclose the appraisal or estimated value of the property under consideration or prevent the public body from completing the transaction. Strategy sessions to discuss the sale of real property and discussion regarding deployment of security devices and investigative proceedings regarding criminal conduct. So if you go into closed session, you do have to keep a record of that, except for this last one. If this last one is in play, deploying security devices, because anything in a public meeting is grammar requestable, and it will become public once time has passed and that item is no longer needs to be secret, then it will become public information under a grammar request. The last one here, security devices, they've allowed for there not to be a record, and those will never be made public, just because of what they are. The security devices, if they feel like they need to deploy those, those will never be made public, because that's what it's for.
What's a security device?
If you-
Cameras.
Like a camera?
It's that drone that keeps flying over your house.
Okay, I knew that was
A
going.
camera or motion sensors, we have some of those up at the water tank, and places
That
around.
makes
So
sense, okay.
so those will never become public because of the nature that they are.
Sure, then, yeah, got it.
Okay. So, Mr. Church says there's no reason ever for the planning commission to go into a closed meeting unless it's for their attorney to tell them they're about to make a huge mistake. So that's the only reason he ever says that a planning commission should go into a closed meeting.
That makes me,
What's that?
that makes me happy.
That makes you happy?
Yeah, just keep it open, let's keep going.
Yeah. And they should be, unless you have one of those items, they need to be open, that's what it's for. Okay,
And in a closed meeting, which we're not going to be doing, and you said there's a record of it, where would that record be kept? And after it comes off of the agenda, where would you read about it? Would
So-
it be included in a minute somewhere?
it will be in minutes, but it won't be attached to the meeting until it comes off the record, then you can go back. This is a little jumping ahead of myself, but all of our agendas go onto the state public notice website. So you have to notice your meetings. If it's public, you have to notice it. There's 3 places that you have to notice it to be compliant with state code. One is the state website, one is in your office of your municipality or at your meeting place, and then you have to send it to the newspaper. Doesn't have to run in the ad, but the news has to be able to come to your meeting if there's something on that agenda that they want to report on. That's the other third thing. Now, we go beyond that. It's on our website, and it's also shared in the county. It's hung at the library. So I have a fact sheet that has all the numbers, and the county does the same thing. They send theirs email to us so that we're made aware of what they're doing. So we more than comply, but those 3 areas are what state law requires. So it's new because of the state website. If you guys have you signed up for this? So if you go on the state website, you can sign up for your email. Anytime that something comes up for Daniel, it'll ping you.
And what is the state website? What's the name of it?
It's the Utah Public Notice website. If you Google that, it's pmn.gov, I think.
Utah Public
Yeah, this one come back as a
Notice.
support.
website.
And you can, you go in and you pick your category, like city or county or local district. Then you pick your entity, which Daniel, and then under Daniel, we have the planning commission or the town council. Those are the 2 entities that we have there. But you can subscribe to those, and so it will automatically, on your email, notify you when a notice has been posted on that website. And you can do that for all the entities in the state. So if you're interested in Wasatch County or any of the others.
And it'll send it right to your email that something's been posted.
Cool.
And you can there's a link, you click right on it, and that's what this came up as. That's my notice for one right there. So
Oh,
that's the agenda that Scott sent right to my thing, and I just hit print.
Nice.
So it dings whenever we've had some issues with it in the last 4 months of them coming through, but I think we finally got it worked out, and I'm getting the notices, so I think everything's working a lot better. Have you been getting the notices? Okay, so it's working better. We had a couple of them that was on there, and then they disappeared. We're like, I don't know how that happened, but
So if you're not getting enough email, you could sign up for every city in the state.
you
Oh,
could.
boy.
Just sign up for Fear in Wasatch County, it'll fill your inbox up.
So there's something else we're gonna do now as a town. Everybody's migrating towards putting a packet on this website, so you'll actually be able to go on there and click it and open the packet and view all the material that was done at the meeting. So we'll scan that in, and it'll be a packet, and so the public can see exactly what maps we're looking at, everything that we have. So everybody's doing that, they're migrating toward it. It's not a requirement, but that's what we're just trying to keep up with the times.
Eric, I don't think you answered the question about the closed meeting minutes. Would you like me to do that?
Sure.
Once that information is no longer closed, would it?
Well, it is closed, that's the whole point. If you
Right.
have an executive closed session, and you listed all the reasons that you could have one, you do keep a recording or minutes, and those are private. Those are protected records by the entity unless a judge orders them to be opened. And then whoever is requesting them to be opened gets a chance to take a look at them. But these are the private things of the city, and so those are protected records.
Now, the town council has went into private meetings without the presence of their attorney.
Right.
You don't have to have attorney present.
Okay?
Any of those reasons that I listed. And so that's one way they can get them, the judge can release them. Another way is if you wanted it, you could grammar request the town, and if it was past its window, then it would be grammar requestable. Otherwise, you get a note back that says these are not available to the public yet. So that's how those are released. It's a grammar request. That's part of the Record Act that we're talking about here. So if there was something that you 3 years ago wanted to know about, and maybe that has lapsed, you grammar request the town, and then they would produce those documents, unless they were still in the protected.
Thanks.
Okay, so he puts in the back of this thing, I gotta read this to you because this makes sense. In the area of planning and zoning, it is not a matter of litigation, if litigation will be filed, but when. The keys to avoiding lawsuits include these pithy reminders. Procedure is as important as substance. Substance is as important as process. Just because you can, doesn't mean you should. Just because you got away with it, does not make it right. Not getting caught is not the same as creating a binding precedent. Public clamor doesn't necessarily equate the public will. The public will doesn't necessarily equate the public good. Always remember that you are the government that the Bill of Rights was written to protect the people from. So, by far, municipality governments are more intrusive than state or federal. We will come and tell people anything in our code. I mean, you can get down to where they can tell you what color your house is if it passes the legislative bar and becomes code. That's way more intrusive, you know, than the state or the federal. So that's something to keep in mind as we deal with a lot of this code issue. And I have one more here about the Planning Commission. So this also titles into that 54. Each city and town is required to pass an ordinance establishing a planning commission. The ordinance must define the number and terms of the members and alternate members if any, and the mode of appointment. The ordinance must also contain the procedures for filling vacancy and removal from office. This has been an overlooked provision of most ordinances and the source of some contention and even lawsuits. The best practice is to make the section on removal from office fairly specific and have definite standards of conduct and attendance for commission members. Without these specifics, it may be difficult to remove members from a commission prior to the expiration of their term in office. Okay, so we do have that as a town. We created that because the legislature said we had to. So that's why we have that ordinance that created the Planning Commission. Our town has given the Planning Commission the title of the Land Use Authority. So as we go through the subdivisions and different things, you guys are the Land Use Authority. And as such, if somebody doesn't like what you've done, that's why we have the Board of Appeals. So they have a place to take their grievance and have it heard, so they can appeal that decision. As we're going right now through the zone change on 3000 South, the GIVO, they filed with district court, so we're going to court on that because it was turned down. So their claim is that the public came and public clamor, and we listened to them and turned them down because of that. So it is in court. We just did an answer to some of their claims, and they'll be setting a date. It costs us quite a bit of money for that weak claim. It is. It is, and I don't suspect, I mean, we don't set out in any of these suits to lose. I mean, we think we're right, that's why we're defending it. If we thought we was wrong, we would clearly fold. So, as we work through that, it's pretty crazy what's being, we have several lawsuits and several pending. And our budget, reflected 800% over on our legal fees. That's where a lot of our money's going, so, and we're not done, so it keeps coming. Okay, so do you guys have any questions for me that maybe I could help answer? I just wanted to get you an update on that open meeting. It's also required that we have that training once a year, and it's January, so why not?
I think my only question, Eric, would be that in light of all the lawsuits that are going on, is there anything that we could do better to help prevent those? Obviously, we do the best we can, we've tried,
Right.
you know.
So-
So is there something that we could do as a planning commission or to facilitate that happening less often?
Yeah, that's a great question, great question. So, and I, as I hear some of these discussion going on, you'll see me just back up, because sometimes it just goes on, and what I hear is opinion. Your opinion doesn't matter. What you have to do is put your opinion to the general plan, to the code, so we have a factual basis for your decision. That way there, none of that is brought up. It's because it's arbitrary and capricious, really, if you don't have a reason to back up what we deny this because of. And you cite the general plan, you cite everything, the code, whatever you want to put in there as your reason, because your opinions really doesn't count.
Okay, so that's something we could
Yeah.
focus more on.
And I think that'll be leaps and bounds. Other than that, I think the planning commission does an awesome job. I think we do far better than any planning commission I've been to. I want to just show you this. I went to the Charleston meeting for the building right across the highway. This is the code that Charleston Town Council allowed to not, this is not in effect. All their code, this does not apply.
That is Charleston's code? that
It's,
you have
no,
in
this
there?
is just the part that the lawyer went through and said, we don't want to follow it. So this is the code, they went through and picked out all this and they said, we're not going to follow this. And so the mayor and 2 council members voted, because they're a 5-member, to allow that development without this much code.
Wow.
So the 25-foot visibility triangle on the corner got in there. They just allowed them to do that, and that's, the council holds a lot of power when they can do stuff like that. So they're available to do development agreements and those kind of things that we're not allowed as a planning commission. That's why we send a recommendation that we don't think this ought to happen.
But now they've opened themselves up for a lawsuit if anything happens because they've not.
There's an accident on the corner.
Yep, all of that. Yeah, and so you got all of this, that this is all of what they're not gonna follow of Charleston's code. The lawyers wrote it, and and it applies to all the annexed property on that corner. So I had, their planner, Brian Priest, I says, can I get a copy of that? And he says, yeah, here's mine. I thought, isn't that amazing? I mean, that's huge,
Quite a bit.
that's huge.
I mean, here's our whole, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good size.
Yeah, it is, yeah, so I was amazed what went on there in that meeting, so.
But you gotta remember, only the one section is zoning.
Well, that's true
Planning,
too.
and so
Yeah,
there's
it's a
probably
small little
as much
section.
in that as there is in our whole code.
Yeah,
Good point.
and so they've actually re-looked at their code again, because they definitely have issues down there.
So I guess I still don't understand. So lawyers just came in and said, we don't like your code?
Right, and so we wanna
Is that
annex,
the understanding?
we wanna annex into your town, but we don't like this
We don't
code, and we're
like
not
this.
coming unless you do this.
And so the planning commissioner said, okay? Instead of
No,
saying,
Not
no
the planning
thanks?
commissioners, the
Not
council.
The council, okay.
Planning commissioners was against the whole thing. And in fact, the town clerk and Brian Priest both quit that night when they did this.
For that reason.
Yeah, and they rehired Brian, but Ramey didn't come back.
So the little subdivision would have just left, maybe, if they would have said,
Well-
I mean, we don't know any of that, but I'm
Well,
trying
we-
to think why they did that.
Well, I talked to the planning commission members, and they were under the impression that if they didn't do it, that Daniel would. And so they do that all the time. They play municipalities against each other. It happens all the time. Developers come in and that's what they do. I mean, if they can get this, they succeeded.
They did
They
succeed.
succeeded.
Wow.
So that's what they did. It's just,